How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Matthew. The channel is Vanlife Plus, and this is my official review of the Bluetti EB55 Power Station. Not the cat, but that's Penny. There was no way I was getting that dramatic, overly dramatic slow-mo shot without them just ending up in the shot. They're just too curious when the door is open. Anyway, already getting off track. This is going real good. So I've never done a product review before. We'll see how this goes. In the interest of full disclosure, Bluetti actually did reach out to me. They sent me an email, asked me if I would be willing to do a review of their product. And since power stations, or solar generators as they are also known, have become kind of a staple in the nomadic community, and I didn't already have one and wanted one, I thought it'd be pretty silly if I didn't at least take them up on their offer. That being said, they didn't pay me to do this. They just sent me the unit and said, do a review for us. That'd be great. So I told myself, well, if I don't like it, I won't do a review. So I guess it kind of spoils how I feel about it then, doesn't it? Moving right along. I've had the Bluetti now for almost 3 weeks, and it has been, to not put too much pressure on it, a game changer for me. In my case, I do YouTube videos, which means that I film and edit a lot of video content. And one of the things that I have talked about a lot on my channel was the fact that when it comes to editing, I've got this power-hungry computer that just doesn't allow me to do editing on its battery, so I always need to be plugged in when I'm doing that. And for the most part, I was finding myself going to public libraries to plug in and do that, which was fine. But I did want a way to do that in my home. So this is pretty cool, right? I've been wanting to be able to edit in the van for a long time, but my computer that I use is the Microsoft Surface Book 2, and it is a absolute hog when it comes to power when you're editing. And I can charge with my inverter over here, but that really kills my battery quite fast. And I'd rather have my battery power be for my lights, my heater, my ceiling fan. So with the Bluetti, I've been editing for about 2.5 hours, and we're plugged in. It's the only thing we're using. And we've gone down to 60% on the Bluetti. I could probably edit for another 2.5, 3, 4 hours before this thing would be dead. So that is awesome. So this is super handy, and I love being able to edit in my home, because before I wasn't risking editing here or using my inverter. I was going to the public library, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but sometimes you just want to stay home and do some editing. So this is super handy. Car! Game on! Name that movie. If you're not familiar, if you've been living under a rock and you just don't know what a power station is or a solar generator is, you know those little portable power units with the USBs that became very popular when Pokemon Go was the flavor of the week? Everybody had those. Whoa, cat almost escaped. Everybody had those power banks in their pockets when they were running around trying to catch Pokemon digitally, right? Think of these power stations as just bigger versions of those, and they also allow you to plug in your wall outlets, so stuff that you would find in your house that run off of alternating current, otherwise known as AC power. They come in different shapes and sizes. The EB55 is a 700 watt unit with 537 amp hours. All of that technical stuff aside, here's the big highlights that you guys need to know about this unit. Again, if you don't know, it's got ports out the wazoo. We are talking 5 USB ports, well, 4 USB ports and 1 USB-C port. 4 of those AC out ports, a cigarette lighter for 12-volt charging, and then the 2 little silver ones, they're also 12 volts. I've never come across anything that uses them, but I'm sure there's people out there that have. So they're there if you want them. That's a lot of ports on a unit this size. And the nice thing that I do like about Bluetti, and again, I'm not too technically versed in these things, so from what I've read online, which is a big thing with me and my channel, the battery inside is a LifePo 4 battery. As far as I can tell right now, as of the filming of this review, that's the top of the line battery that you can get. And the biggest pro that I've learned about when it comes to the LifePo 4 battery over stuff like lithium batteries is that it can do the whole discharge and recharge cycle that many more times before you're gonna start to see diminishing returns. Anyway, let's power this guy up, and I can show you a little bit more what it can do. So, oh, well, that's not great. Is dead. But that's because it sort of did overtime last night on a live stream I was doing, as well as powering a ring light, because you know you gotta look your best when you're doing your live streams. And it did all of that for 5 hours without problem. I didn't even notice anything. So there's multiple ways to charge this. Like I said before, one of the things that people call these are solar generators. You can absolutely charge it via solar panels, but I don't have that option. So the other two options that you can do are charge it through a wall outlet or through a cigarette lighter outlet, 12-volt supply, which I do have in the van. So let's go for a ride and chat a little bit more on the inside while the Bluetti charges and I can warm up because it is a little bit cold out here. I am in Canada after all. And while I've been editing, this top feature is quite nice. It's that, I don't even know what it's called. Well, it says it right there, wireless charging. So just toss the phone on there and the phone charges while I'm editing. So that's a twofer for sure. And that only uses 15 watts, which is like nothing. I got the Bluetti here and I've got the keys 12-volt plug right here. So this bad boy, boom, plugs right into. That's pretty self-explanatory, people. Shouldn't have to explain this to you. Plug it in here. Make sure it's really right. Make sure it's plugged in the right way. These are not hard words. Look at her go. Now Lucky's gonna come to life and do its best to charge very slowly at 4 watts, but that's also because the vehicle's not running. Hang on, clearly prepared for this. Let's see if it changes. Oh. There we go, a little bit better. When it comes to 12-volt charging, again, this is just like from what I've sort of observed and have figured out through deducing it on my own, you know, just through like logic and common sense. 12-volt charging is just not that strong. I think, and I'll make a correction right here if I'm wrong, but I think the Bluetti says that it can charge from dead, which it is right now, off your vehicle battery in 7 to 8 hours? Which is like perfect if you're going on a long trip or you do a lot of driving. The chances are, if you're using it and you're not as heavy of a user as me, whereas as you're killing the thing every single day with a ridiculous computer that I'm very upset about, I'm just saying, I think this thing would run way better with a MacBook. Again, I'm getting off track. You're probably not draining it every day, and if you're plugging it in and doing a whole bunch of driving every day, that's not gonna be such an issue for you. When it is dead, I can take it in, plug it into the wall, at my job, and this thing, I'm kidding you not, you guys. Here we go. Here's the statistics. I remember this. Bluetti says on their site 3 to 3.5 hours to charge it from a wall outlet. I was absolutely surprised. When I took it in one day, it was dead, plugged it into the wall, went and did some work, came back, and it had been, I think, 2.5 hours. The thing was done charging. Like, that's crazy and super convenient, which means that worst case scenario, you could go into like a Starbucks or something and continue your video editing and charge your Bluetti off the Starbucks power. And you wouldn't have to be there for an obnoxiously you wouldn't have to be there for an obnoxiously long time. I thought that was really cool. Okay, so far, I've only charged the Bluetti from wall power when I'm at the shop, when I'm at work. So now we're gonna do a little bit of a drive, nothing major. I gotta go do some running around, go film some segments down in the park, and then I'm gonna go over to my cousin's house and we're going to a camping expo. So the entire time while I'm doing that running around, I'm gonna leave the van running, and until we get to my cousin's house, we're gonna charge the Bluetti through the 12-volt port or the cigarette lighter port, and we'll see how it does. Right now, after my editing stint last night, we're at about 40%. So we're gonna plug her in and see how much we can get back on a short little drive. Okay, so I just pulled up in front of my cousin's place, and the Bluetti has been charging on the cigarette lighter right next to our very fancy Vanlife Plus stickers. Get yours on the merch store. It's been charging for 1 hour and 3 minutes. So it's still plugged in right now. I'm gonna unplug it and let's see where those bars stay. Awesome, so it brought it from 40 to 60% in 1 hour and 3 minutes on the 12-volt. All right, so found a place to park here and sort of finish up talking about this guy can stay warm without having to stand outside in the cold. I mean, I don't know what else to really say. It has completely come in handy, and it has changed the way I sort of approach my van life in terms of my power consumption. It adds a level of comfort and ease of use to your day-to-day, because let's get serious, we live in 2022. We've got a lot of stuff that runs off of power. I love The inclusion of the USB-C at 100 watts. I can charge your phone if you've got a USB-C cable real fast, which is super handy. If you don't, you can throw your phone on top, which is great. Again, for those that aren't familiar, right, you've got your 3 zones here. You've got your USBs, your AC output, and your DC output, and they're all controlled by the little switches. You just press them, turn them on, the green light comes on, indicates that you are now sending power to that zone. And also, one thing it took me a minute to figure out, but like on the screen here, you've got eco mode, and down here on your output, you've got 60 hertz, which I think 60 hertz is normal for North America, but if you're in places like Europe, where 50 hertz is more common, you can actually switch that by holding down the DC output and the AC output buttons together, and then we're gonna start seeing that 60 hertz flash. Then you can use the AC button, tap that once, that'll change that to 50 hertz. I don't really know how relevant that is. I looked on the power brick of my computer and it has both 60 and 50 hertz. I'm assuming a lot of electronics these days have that ability because of all of the international travel that happens. I mean, like for other people, not me so much. And then you can also change it out of eco mode by pressing the DC button, it'll turn the eco off. So when I'm talking about this, when it comes to like things that I'm not a big fan of, there isn't a lot. The wireless charging on the top is just, it doesn't stick out at all. It's just built right in, and it's part of the very flat surface that is the top of the Bluetti, and the surface is a little smooth. So your phone, if it's not in a case, will have a tendency to slide right off, unless of course you're stationary. I mean, if you're not stationary and you're in motion, then maybe just charge your cell phone either through a plug or through your vehicle, right? This is more for like when you're at the beach or when you're in the woods or a party. And the other big like con, I guess, is that it's a little hefty. Like it's not, I don't know exactly how much it weighs, but it's got some heft to it. But even then, with that being a con, in terms of my van life and how I'm still always adding stuff to Lucky, this actually came in handy in a very surprising way, which kind of rules it out being a con. And another thing that I have noticed that seems to be pretty standard on a lot of these power stations slash solar generators, however you want to call it, at least on certain models. The light on the back, right? So, and it's got 3 settings. Let's see if I can get it to work. Yeah, right? So lower, we got brighter. And then if you're stuck on a beach, like if your plane crashes, then you can do this one, which is the SOS mode. Why I'm on a beach with my Bluetti after a plane crash, I don't know. But I suppose I could be camping and it might come in handy if I need to send out a distress signal. Just seems like a standard feature. But I'll tell you, it sure came in handy again when I was doing a little bit of home improvement. I mean, I'm not the smartest person for doing this sort of heavy wiring work this late at night when I gotta be at work the next day. But because I had to turn off my house lights, the Bluetti is definitely coming in handy with its little onboard light source and the fact that I can charge my rechargeable lights. Right, so that's pretty cool. And I would like to point out that the Bluetti is technically dead and this light feature is still working. So I don't know if there's like some sort of like amount of the battery reserved for this light or not, or the fact that the light just uses such low wattage that it doesn't much matter. But that is cool. And again, sort of comforting in that whole have it, not need it, not have it scenario. I got light with no power. That's pretty cool. Okay, come on. Give me a seizure. At the end of it, I've been extremely happy with this little unit. They sent me the unit to specifically talk about it, but I have been pleasantly surprised and am wholeheartedly happy. Yeah, sure, that I've got this little guy. It's not too big. It doesn't take up much space in Lucky, which if you know me, that's always an issue. Like, I got my poo bucket just sitting on my bed up there because I got nowhere else to put it. So I'm very thankful for the size of it. The power is perfect for my needs. Do I recommend the EB55? 100%. I think it's a great little unit. I think there are other options out there that are a little bit behind the times. The inclusion of the LifePo 4 battery and the amount of ports and the stuff that you could charge in one go is really cool. And I think you're getting a really good bang for your buck when it comes to this specific model. There are even bigger ones. And who knows, maybe in the future, I'll be able to get out Lucky with a real big one in the back and we'll have a real big party and we can get Aaron the DJ down to spin some tunes exclusively off the Bluettis. It's nice to dream, isn't it? That's it for this one, guys. I'm gonna leave this one here. If you are interested in buying one of these, I'm gonna include a link to their website in the description of this video. And there's a promo code that you can use. I will put it at the bottom of the screen here. And until the next one, you guys, just go out there, be happy, be creative, be yourselves. Most importantly, be positive. And I will see you all in that next one.